Our country is in the midst of a great economic awakening. 2 historic trade deals in 1 week, an awakening that everyone is able to participate in. Yet the only thing the Democrats in Congress can focus on is an unconstitutional, factually insufficient, partisan impeachment that everyone knows is not going to succeed. Democrats know they're going to lose in the Senate, but rather than focusing on how to continue to grow the economy in the country, their only focus is on tearing it down. Is that what you want in your leaders? A group so hell-bent on destroying and removing the president and all the good he's doing for us that they will do so based on irrelevant, immaterial, inadmissible evidence and second- and third-hand hearsay. Folks, the only thing the Democrats care about is power, and they will do whatever they can and take down whomever they must who is in their way to attain that power. These hypocrites feign solemnity and earnestness as they rush to impeachment, then pause, then stop and do nothing, then make demands for further investigation as they bring their non-criminal, non-statutory, non-high crime misdemeanor, non-treason, non-bribery sham articles of impeachment to the Senate. Take a look.
The feeling in the Senate chamber was solemn, serious, profound. The weight of history, the eyes of history, you feel it, are upon you. I know every one of my colleagues felt it. I hope my colleagues on the other side of the aisle felt it.
Really, Chuck? You felt that? Or did you get a thrill that you might become majority leader? And here's how solemn Nancy framed it.
His actions, which undermined our national security, violated his oath of office to protect and defend the Constitution, and jeopardized the integrity of our elections.
And as the engrossment ceremony procession with those 2 non-criminal, non-unconstitutional articles of impeachment were carried from the House to the upper chamber, the Senate, the solemnity of the occasion was described as, quote, crossing the threshold in history. Yet they crossed the threshold, all right. Their hostility and malevolence was palpable as they crossed their threshold from politics to the theater of the absurd. And it will prove fatal to their cause in November. And get this, Nancy Pelosi says it's not a question of proof, it's a question of allegations.
In any case, it's not a question of saying what proof. It says what allegations have been made.
Really? You bozos upend everything that makes America great, including the Constitution. It's not about proof, it's about allegations. Didn't you try that with Kavanaugh? How did that one work out for you? To them, whether it's true or not doesn't matter. Truth depends on what they think is true, not whether they can substantiate it. Whether they can substantiate it is irrelevant to them. And yet they try to make it so solemn. History is watching us as they proceed from one house to the next. Make no mistake, they were celebrating as Nancy passed out silver platters with her name etched on gold pens to celebrate the occasion. It wasn't solemn. It wasn't serious. They were giddy with joy. They were about as serious as a bunch of second graders passing gas in classroom. And then they had the unmitigated gall to try to tell the Senate how to run a case that they totally had no proof. They couldn't prove Russia collusion, and so they substituted Ukraine as their new basis for impeachment. And the transcript is proof there was no crime. They want him removed even though he violated no law, and now they want the Senate to investigate and call the witnesses who they didn't bother to call. A primer. The Senate's job is not to redo the investigation of the House. The Senate's job is not to build the case the House couldn't. And the Senate's job is not to reinvestigate the investigation. Its job is to rule on it. And for all you bozos who now want to call Lev Parnas, the latest guy indicted on multiple felonies, who will say or do whatever he can to get out of his indictment, he's no more credible than your hero, Michael Cohen, who you dragged out of prison to testify in your hallowed chambers. How did that one work out for you in the Russia collusion delusion? And your other hero, Michael Avenatti. He's got indictments pending against him from coast to coast. You guys even talked about him running for president. Are you stupid too? Can someone tell me why we have to suffer through this baseless nonsense? The transcript of the conversation between President Trump and Zelensky is the best evidence. Turn on the audio and then turn it off. Then get confirmation that the president released the money when required and send it to the Senate jury to deliberate. Period. Stop the hogwash. Americans want to see the truth. And while we're at it, will you please stop saying Joe and Hunter Biden corruption quid pro quo is debunked? Who debunked it? And when? Even the New York Times thinks it's got legs. Look, folks, in the end, we know how it ends. The indictment has been handed up. The issue is joined. The trial against Donald J. Trump begins. But unfortunately, we're going to have to muddle through the Democrats' partisan charade to oust the 45th president of the United States for no high crime, no statutory crime, no constitutional crime, but some ephemeral abuse of power. We will be subjected to their incessant squabbling, their unceasing objections, and their nonstop partisanship. But I want you to remember the hostility and the malevolence that brought us to this shameful point in American history. They must pay a price for not doing their job for the American people. They must pay a price for trying to seize power to which they are not entitled. And that's my open. Let me know what you think on my Facebook and Twitter, #Judge Jeanine.